हाँ फैन टा खाली बंद कर देना. Good afternoon, welcome to Vanik-Ias, and we will discuss the current affairs of 1st April. First topic is related to citizenship and especially that is related to voting rights of Indian citizens, right? Those who are especially staying abroad or overseas citizens. It is voting rights of overseas citizens, those people who are living outside India, right? Okay. See, voting right is a legal right, it is not a fundamental right, remember. Among the fundamental rights, voting right is not a fundamental right. In many circumstances, your voting rights can be suspended, right? It is not a fundamental right. Another thing is that voting rights, it starts from the age of 18 and your name must be included in the electoral rolls, you have to register. Okay. Why this is news? Union Minister for Law and Justice in response to question in the Lok Sabha stated that government has exploring the possibility of allowing online voting for non-resident Indians, NRI, online voting for non-residents Indians. This is government is trying to start it, right. In 2017, the government proposed to remove the restrictions imposed by Section 20A of Representations of the People's Act. See, our elections are governed under Representation of People Act, which required them to be physically present in the and vote in their constituencies. That is Section 20A. Under Section 20A, right? Government want to remove that because in the Representation of the People's Act, Section 20A, a person must be present in their constituency to vote. The government have to bring an amendment and they have to repeal that in 2017. The bill provided overseas voters to be able to appoint a proxy to cast their votes, right. This bill it provided the overseas voters to be appoint a proxy, right. That may be your family member or anybody like that, to cast your votes on their behalf, subject to conditions laid down by the Conduct of Election Rules 1961, right. Some subject to conduct of some election rules 1961. Okay. The bill was later passed in 2018, but lapsed with the dissolution of 16th Lok Sabha. But this is lapsed because before getting it passed, the Lok Sabha dissolved. That's why it was not implemented. The Election Commission of India then approached the government to permit NRIs to vote via postal ballots similar to a system that is already used by the service voters. We are already postal ballots is in service people who are working in army, they are using postal ballot so far as voting is concerned. So, Election Commission approached government of India. A member of armed forces of a union or a member of force which provisions of the Army Act 1950, which is electronically transmitted postal ballot system or ETPVS, electronically transmitted postal ballot system. This is used by the forces of armed forces. This is, and to implement that for NRIs, Election Commission approached to the government. Okay. Next. So, here the most important thing is government it's trying to provide the voting rights to the NRIs, and also another thing is that Section 20A, the most important fact that is important for prelim is that Section 20A of the Representation of the People's Act says that a person must be physically present in their constituency to vote. So, first you have to abolish that Section 20A, then you can we can create the facility of voting by the NRIs. So, the electronical transmitted postal ballot system, this to the NRI, including the NRI in the NRIs in electronical transmitted postal ballot system, that is ETPVS, Election Commission have approached to the government. Current status of voting overseas citizens. After passing the Representation of the People's Amendment Act 2010, NRIs who have stayed abroad beyond 6 months have been able to vote, but only in person at the polling station where they have been enrolled as an overseas elector. Right? If anybody who who is staying 6 months abroad, they can be enrolled as overseas elector, but after 2010 they can also vote in their respective constituencies. But however, only a low proportion of the overseas residents actually registered. So the turnout that become less. The provision of having visit to polling booth in person discouraged eligible voters to exercising their mandate. Right. The conduct of election to 1961 amended in 2016 allow the service voters to use electronically. Yes, in 2016 service voters they can use electronically transmitted postal ballot system ETPBS for the service people. Okay. The conduct of election rules 1961 amended in 2016. Under this system, postal ballots are sent electronically and registered service voters. The service voter can then register their mandate on the postal and send it back via ordinary mail. The ECI proposed to extend this facility to overseas voters as well. In the case of overseas voter, the address mentioned in the passport is taken as the place of ordinary residence and chosen the constituency for the overseas voter to enroll in. So the procedure here is that now Election Commission has proposed to extend this electronically transmitted postal ballot system to NRIs, which is earlier, which is now applicable to service voters. So if we are extending that, then what will happen? They will send their ballot via email, right? And that will be calculated. This is only at present. This is for the service voters, not for the NRIs. But the election system is proposed to the government to start that. Okay, and it will be considered. Okay, if you belongs to a particular region, that address mentioned in your passport, then that address, according to that address, will be considered that you are a citizen or belongs to that constituency, and accordingly you will vote those members who have standard in that constituency particularly. So the status of voting rights of overseas citizens presently, that they do not have they have the right to vote, but only physically, but not electronically. Now Election Commission is proposing to the government. Okay, after passing the Representation of People Act Amendment 2010, NRIs who have stayed abroad beyond 6 months have been able to vote, but only in person. Okay, I have already discussed this. And previous mandate in 2010, an Indian citizen who is eligible voter that was residing abroad for more than 6 months would not have been able to vote in the elections, and was residing abroad for more than 6 months would not have been able to vote in elections. Okay, yes, in 2010, before 2010, he was not able to, vote. This was because the NRI's name was deleted from the electoral rolls if he or she stayed outside the country more than 6 months at a stretch, right? So before 2010, NRI people who are not able to vote, they do not have any voting rights, but now after 2010 they have the voting rights, but provided that they have to come to the respective constituency to vote. Now we are planning to extend the electronical postal ballot system to NRIs. Okay, how has the existing facility worked for? From merely 11,846 overseas voters who registered in 2014, the number came to close to 1 lakh in 2019. So it has increased. So the numbers of voters has increased, right? But the bulk of these votes, nearly 90%, belongs to just one state, that is Kerala. Only the people of Kerala, basically they registered for voting. NRIs. The Representative of People Act envisages voters as only the ordinary residents in the constituency who will choose the representatives to represent their local interest while mediating the larger issues in the legislature. Some of the democracies have already allowed absentee voting, stipulate the overseas electors are eligible to vote provided that they are not abroad for a specified period of time, or if they mention intent to return. See, here there is two issues. First thing is, it is a democracy. If you are increasing the number of people who will vote, that means that will strengthen the democratic principle. But when you elect a particular person, you elect on the basis of local issues, that our leader will solve if any problem in our locality arises. That is the first objective. Second objective is that delegate model, which says that for national interest he will go and debate in the parliament for national interest. So, two functions, but when a person do not live in a particular area for long time, he don't have any interest, do not have any knowledge regarding the area problem of that particular area. So, how he can vote? So, at least if a person is going to vote, he should have stayed some particular time in his constituency. This is the provision in certain countries. But should we consider that? Should we debar some people on the basis of that they are not present in their constituency for a period of time, or what should we do? If that happens, see, the counter argument is that if a person is not staying in a particular area, that doesn't mean that he do not have idea about that particular area, right? Because he has so many family members, he has relatives, he has many friends in that particular area. So by that he can choose who will be the development. So that idea that a particular person is not present there, so he should not have the voting right, may not be right. It is one type of argument. Some democracies already allowed absentee voting. But if they are mentioned an intent to return, if they mention that they are willing to return to the country, then they should have also the right. Section 21A, part 3 of the Representation of People's Act addresses this to some extent by qualifying a person is absentee himself temporarily from his place or ordinary residence shall not be the reason therefore cease to ordinary resident therein. Right. Section 21 and part 3, it says that if a particular person is absent temporarily, we cannot consider he is completely absent, or we should not take away his voting rights, and in essence provide that NRIs who are temporarily staying abroad to be eligible for vote in the local constituency. So by this method NRIs can also vote in the local constituency, doesn't matter if they stay in that particular area for a long time or not. Okay, what is ETPBS and how does it function, this postal ballot system, electronic postal ballot system? The conduct of elections rules 1961 was amended in 2016 to allow service voters, those who are working in a particular service, right, they can vote by ETPBS. Under this system, postal ballots are sent electronically to registered service voters. Postal ballots are sent electronically to registered service voters. The service voter can then download the ETPB, electronically transmitted postal ballot, right, along with a declaration form, register their mandate on the ballot and send it to the returning officer of the constituency via ordinary mail, right. They can send that same postal ballot to the returning officer of the constituency by ordinary mail. The post will include the attested declaration form after being signed by the voter in the presence of an appointed senior officer who will attest it. So any senior officer can attest it, and he will sign the vote that I have given vote. In presence, so that need to be attested. Attested means in front of a senior officer, or a senior officer must qualify that you have done it properly. The Electoral Commission of India proposed to extend this facility to overseas voters as well. For this comments, the law minister has to amend the conduct of election rules 1961. So they have to amend the conduct of election rules 1961 by law ministry. So this amendment is essential. So to start ETPBS for the NRI people, we have to amend the election rules 1961. Okay. In the case of NRI voters, those seeking to vote through ETPBS will have to inform the returning officer at least 5 days after the notification of election. Right? They have to inform the returning officer 5 days after the notification of election. The returning officer will then send a ballot to the electronically via ETPBS. The NRI voter then register his mandate on the ballot printout, and they have to send it. The senior officer will be appointed by the Indian diplomatic consular representative. right. In this case, senior officer will be the Indian diplomatic consular representatives in the resident of the country of NRI, right. There will be Indian senior officer will be present there, and he will attest. The ECI is not specified whether the voters should send the ballot through ordinary post or to the returning officer or drop it off the Indian consular office or embassy, which will then send the envelopes constituency wise to the returning officers. So, this is not cleared by the election commission, the recommendation given by election commission. So, especially this person who will attest the ballot, that will be from Indian senior officer from Indian embassy, right. Next, are postal ballots a viable means of voting? EDVS method allowed for greater turnout among the service voters in 2019 Lok Sabha. In 2019 Lok Sabha, the electronical transmitted postal ballot system, that greater turnout. So, number of turnouts increase, that means democracy becomes strengthened, we can say. With increasing mobility of citizens across countries for regions related to work, the postal ballot method has been recognized by the International Institute of Democracy. International Institute of Democracy has recognized postal ballot and electoral assistance, an intergovernmental organization that works to support democratic process and institutions. So, this has supported the postal ballot system. It says that postal ballot is an effective method by which we can vote to our choice of members for constituencies, in our constituencies. Postal ballot mechanism allows for proper authentication of the ballot at designated consular offices, right. Allows proper authentication, that means you are the person who is voting, that authentication will be done by at the embassy offices, right. Effectively postal system, and should ease the process of NRIs, but rules must be clearly framed and eligibility on the basis of the time spent away from the country. Eligibility on the basis of time spent away from the country. If somebody is there for 20 and 30 years, he will have no idea regarding the country. So, in those cases it may happen that he or she should not be able to vote, right. So, if somebody, but whether this is, somebody is not in India because of economic purposes and or he do not have interest in India, these are two different things, right. Or if a person is not participating in the mode of development, then whether he should have the right to vote or not, that is a debatable topic, right. So, that means because of a particular job somebody is working in USA, he should have the right to vote or not. He maybe he is not enjoying the facilities given by government, but he have interest in the nation, right. He is aware about the economy, he is aware about the political developments in the nation. So, in that respect, whether he should have the right to vote or not, that is a debatable topic, and accordingly the bill will come and that will be debated in parliament, and accordingly it will be signed, and that will how we can strengthen our democracy by introducing the postal ballot system. Okay. Then next topic is Saudi Arabia Yemen conflict. Saudi Arabia Yemen conflict. Why you are discussing? Middle East is the most unstable area in world politics, right. Highly unstable area, right. Why it is an unstable area? There is a fight of big powers. Fight of big powers means it is US, it is China, it is Russia, everybody is fighting in the Middle East. Why? Because there is reserves of oil, there is huge natural resources, that is why they all fight in the Middle East. If you see Middle East politics, then for example in Syria, that is a cold war that is going in the Middle East, right. Supported, US supported one country, suppose in a particular country, for example Syria, Bashar al-Assad is supported by US, while the rebels are supported by Bashar al-Assad is supported by the Russia and the rebels are supported by the US. So, in this manner there is a conflict between two groups, that is one type of cold war between the big powers like Russia and US and other powers. There is variable interest, there is also so many terrorist groups. Why so many terrorist groups are created? Terrorist groups are created because to serve their state sponsored. State sponsored means, for example, Houthis. Who are the Houthis? These are the terrorists that are sponsored by Iran, right. Who are the Hezbollahs? They are terrorists sponsored by the Palestinians. because they cannot direct fight. Why you will start a terrorism? Suppose why a particular state will start terrorism? Pakistan cannot directly fight India in conventional war and nuclear war, that is highly dangerous, mutual assured destruction. So only one way how Pakistan can hurt India is, that is terrorism, right? That is terrorism, state sponsored terrorism. That is how Pakistan. What happens especially when there is a big country, when there is a big power and you have a small power, you do not have fight to with the big country, then those nations start pursuing terrorism. Also, it is one of the reason, it is not the all reason of terrorism, but in general it is seen. For example, in case of your, for example, Tamilians and Sinhalese, what happened? Sinhalese tortured Tamilians in the Sinhala region, but they do not have the numbers, they resorted to terrorism, right? Pakistan, there is no match between power of India and Pakistan, so they cannot fight a conventional war, they resorted to terrorism. Another thing is Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is a big power. Iran cannot fight directly with Saudi Arabia as it has economic, and there is support of Saudi Arabia. There is United States. So Iran do not have any choice. They are supporting the Houthis, the terrorists, right? So every country, and they are also divided on the basis of their religious faith. For example, Shias and Sunnis, right? Shias and Sunnis. On the basis of that, they are also divided, right? For example, your ISIS, it is a Sunni Muslims. They are supported by Saudi Arabia, but they are opposed by Iran, because Iran is majority. It has a majority of Shias. So this is how there is conflict between Sunnis and Shias in Middle East, and that are reflected in various ways. Today we will see Yemen crisis, right? What is the crisis in Yemen? Recently, Saudi-led coalition fighting Yemen's Houthi rebels launched air strikes targeting country's capital Sana'a, right? In Yemen's capital Sana'a, Saudi-led coalition fighting Yemen's Houthi rebels. They have captured these Houthi rebels. They have captured Yemen's capital since 2014 actually. The strikes came need heavy fighting around the city of Marib, and after coalition forces withdraw from the areas around the key port city Hodeidah, right? So and coalition forces withdraw from the areas around the key ports like Hodeidah. They are withdraw and strike and heavy fighting around the city of Marib. Heavy fighting between the Saudi-led coalition and the Houthis, right? That's a terrorist group or rebel group. History or the issue. The Iranian-backed Houthis have held Yemen's capital since September 2014. Since 2014, Yemen, the Houthis, they have held the capital since 2014. Though the intervention of the Saudi-led coalition halted their march south in 2015, the war has slogged on for years and created a world's worst humanitarian crisis, right? Although halted their march, Saudi-led coalition halted their march, they stopped them, right? They were not completely conquered the Yemen, but because of the war still continuously, it is in 2015 or also in previous years, that has created a humanitarian crisis. It has become a war zone. The indigenous economy is devastated. So many people are suffering from poverty, malnutrition, and lack of food, lack of shelter. Every problem they are suffering from, right? Okay. Next. So Houthis has conquered the capital of Yemen in 2014. After that, they are stayed by they are stopped by the Saudi-led coalition. Then how did it start? 7 years ago, Saudi Arabia launched a military intervention against Houthis in Yemen. Okay, Saudi-led coalition intervention was supposed to quick victory against the upstart Iranian-backed group. That means Houthis are supported by Iran, and feather in the cap of the newly named Saudi defense minister. That's why they started a sudden military intervention. The victory remains elusive. Instead, Saudi Arabia is now the worst strategic situation when it entered the Yemen conflict in March 2015. They thought that they will win, like the US in Afghanistan, but they could not win, and that became a nightmare for the Saudi-led coalition, and it is suffering. In 2014, Yemen has been mired in a civil war. A civil war. Civil war means group between fight between two types of people. Since 2014, when the Iran-backed Houthis militia seized the control of several northern provinces. Iran-backed Houthis, they seized the control of several northern provinces and forced the Saudi-backed Yemeni government of President Abd-Rabbu Mansur Hadi out of Sana'a. They forced the Saudi-backed. Saudi are supporting the Yemen government. The President Abd-Rabbu Mansur Hadi Sana'a. So it is in the Cold War between Iran and Saudi Arabia in the Yemen, right? That is Yemen crisis. The Saudi-led Arab coalition intervened the Yemen in 2015 to support the Hadi's government, right? Saudi Arab coalition intervened in the Yemen and in 2015 to support the Hadi's government. So this is the conflict between two groups in that is in civil war. One group is supporting the President Hadi, and another group is supporting the Houthi rebels. And Houthi rebels have conquered the northern areas. Okay, next. Who are the Houthis? Houthis are officially known as Ansar Allah, partitions of God. Ansar Allah, partitions of God, they are called as Houthis. An Iranian-backed Shiite Muslim military and political movement in Yemen. Shiite Muslim military and political movement in Yemen. Its members who subscribe to minority Zaidi sect of Shiite Islam advocate regional autonomy for Zaidis and the northern Yemen. They are advocating regional autonomy in northern Yemen because they belongs to Zaidi sect, and that is a minority, and there is conflict between minority and majorities in the Yemen country of Yemen, and since then the fighting is going on, the civil war is going on between the majorities and minorities. Majorities are the Sunnis and minorities are the Shias, who are especially belongs to Zaidi sect, and they are backed by the Iran. They fought a series of rebellions against the Saleh during the previous decade and took advantage of new president's weakness by taking control of the northern heartland, Sadda province and neighboring areas. So they have already acquired the Sadda province of northern heartland of Yemen. Okay, what are the implications? The city fall could lead to a humanitarian disaster, obviously, because it would already become a war zone. So humanitarian disaster will be obvious. Vast number of civilians are displaced, they are killed, fighting elsewhere have sought to refuge in the area. They are displaced from that particular area. Around 140 camps have sprung off in the surrounding in the desert to provide basic shelter. So they have become refugees, and 140 camps are sprung up in the surrounding desert to provide them basic shelter for 2 million displaced. There are around 2 million people who are displaced, right? Okay. World. It greatly exacerbates the regional tensions. It also worries about the West. Worries the West because it is a threat of attacks such as from Al Qaeda and IS affiliates emanating from the country, as it becomes more unstable, right? When a country becomes unstable, then that becomes a breeding ground of the terrorists. Terrorists will rule. Somebody will try to hijack the power. When there is no power in a particular country, somebody in the rebels, they will try to hijack the power. That's the issue. Yemen is also strategically important because it sits on a straight linking Red Sea. Strategically important, straight linking Red Sea with the Gulf of Aden, through which most of the world oil shipments is passed. So Yemen is strategically important. It has huge oil reserves, and also it has a link to the strait in the Red Sea. Okay, so for that it is important, and everybody's interest lies in Yemen because of its oil reserves. India is one of the Yemen is the most shipping routes passing through the Gulf of Aden and accounting imports of 50 billion and exports of 60 billion every year. That's why it is in the interest of India, because through the Gulf of Aden, around 50 billion exports and 60 billion exports and 50 billion imports occur. That means around 110 billion trade passes through the billion trade of India passes through the Gulf of Aden. That's why Yemen issue is important for India. Indian nationals including Hindus, Muslims and Parsis have lived Aden since mid-1880s. So we have also cultural linkage. Huge amount of our diaspora or Indian origin people are staying there. 8 million expats living in the region more than 80 billion of income remittances annually. So $80 billion of remittances is coming from Yemen. That's why Yemen is important. Therefore, crisis in Yemen affect remittances and destroy shipping routes. So, for Indian economy is concerned, any instability in the Yemen is against the interest of India. So, India want stability in Yemen. But the issue is very complex. Complex is that the conflict between Iran and Saudi Arabia. That is, Iran is backing the Houthis rebels who want to establish a new autonomy province, and they have captured the capital in the northern province, and another the majority are supported by the Saudi Arabias, and there is civil war, and there is air strikes. So, and how these rebels, there is a terrorist organization. So, it is full of instability that is against the interest of India, because India is getting around 80 billion of remittances from Yemen, and it is a huge amount, and also you have around 110 billion of trade in Gulf of Aden. So, in these both points make our interest in the Yemen crisis too much, right? That is because we have economic interest, and also we have cultural interest. Since 1980s, many of the Indian nationals are also staying in the Yemen, right? Next topic is regarding Bamiyan Buddha. Bamiyan Buddha. Who is Bamiyan Buddha? 21 years after destroying the Bamiyan Buddha, who has destroyed it? The Afghans who have destroyed the, especially not Afghans, we can say Talibans. Taliban has destroyed the Bamiyan Buddha. Taliban now seeks to preserve Buddha's legacy of the Bamiyan Buddhas. Now they are seek to preserve, because it has taken power, gradually it is behaving like a responsible power, power, the Taliban, and Taliban seek to preserve Buddha's legacy of the Bamiyan Buddha. Bamiyan Buddha is the largest, it is the largest statue of Buddha. In the Roman draperies, and with the different mudras, Bamiyan Buddha were great examples of confluence of Gupta, Sasanian and Hellenistic style. These are three styles of art: Sasanians and Hellenistic styles, Greek styles, Indian style, Gupta styles. They are said to date back to the 5th century AD, right? During Buddha was one during that time, and were one of the tallest standing Buddhas in the world. Sorry, BC, around 1000 years of that. Previously to that, Buddha was one. So it is yes, and we are once the tallest standing Buddha in the world. Bamiyan Buddha was the tallest standing Buddha in the world. The Sasal and the Samana, they are called by the locals, rose to the heights of 55 and 38 meters respectively, said to be male and female. The Sasal means light shines through the universe. Salsal, light shines through the universe. Samana is Queen Mother. The statues were set in the niche on either ends of the cliff side and hang directly from the sandstone cliffs. So this is the structure of Bamiyan Buddha, which is especially the confluence of Gupta, Sasanian and Hellenistic art of styles. It was built in the 5th century AD, remember, and that was broken by there is also both male and female statues, right, in Bamiyan Buddha, and they are destroyed by the Taliban, but now Taliban want to restore the remainings. Okay. The significance of the Bamiyan, why it is important? Bamiyan is situated in the high mountains of Hindu Kush in the central highlands of Afghanistan. Central Hindu Kush, right? Prelims, these information are very important. Sasanistic, Hellenistic and Gupta sculpture. Then they belongs to Hindu Kush, central highland in Afghanistan, right? One of the tallest Buddha statue, standing Buddha statue. The valley which is set along the line of Yemen river was once integral to the early days of Silk Roads, providing passes for not just to merchants but also cultural region and language. So this is a confluence of regional interest, cultural interest, religious interest that is linked to the Bamiyan river, which was once earlier integrated to Silk Road. That means it was a trade route. There is a huge population that are depending on them. There is cultural exchanges near the Bamiyan river. When Buddhist Kushan Empire spread, acting as a crucible of sorts, Bamiyan become major trade, cultural and religious center. It become this area become major trade, cultural and religious center. Religious center because of Buddhism, and cultural because so many people interacted with each other. Trade because of it was a link with the silk trade, silk route. As China, India and Rome short passage through Bamiyan, the Kusans were able to develop syncretic culture. In the rapid spread of Buddhism between the 1st and 5th century AD, Bamiyan's landscape reflected the faith, especially monastic qualities. So, in the spread of Buddhism in 1st and 5th century AD, monastic quality developed, that means the Buddhist monks, their qualities that developed in that region. The two colossal Buddhas were only part of several other structures such as stupas, smaller seated standing Buddhas, or wall painting scapes spread in around surrounding valleys. So, there are so many areas of Buddhas, Bamiyan Buddhas, wall painting, the standing Buddha, seated Buddha. So, there are various structures that developed, right. So, it becomes a religious center for Buddhism, but how Taliban has destroyed. In 2001, Taliban declared its intention to destroy Bamiyan Buddhas despite condemnation and protest from the governments and cultural ambassadors world over. In 2001, Taliban declared the intention to destroy Bamiyan Buddha. Following the fall of the Bamiyan Buddha, UNESCO included remains in its list of World Heritage Sites in 2003. Remains are included in the World Heritage Sites, with subsequent efforts to restore the reconstruct of the Buddhas in their niches, in the pieces available. So, it has destructed in 2001, but again they want to restore it, right, or rebuild or whatever possible. Then UNESCO City of Literature. UNESCO City of Literature. Next discussion is, prelims fact is UNESCO City of Literature. Kozhikode, right? We will discuss what is City of Literature. Recently, Kozhikode was proposed by the Kerala Institute of Local Administration to branded as City of Literature with the help of UNESCO. City of Literature, Kozhikode. It was proposed, right? It is one of the 6 places that KILA plans to develop as creative cities, right? Thiruvananthapuram is vying for the City of Peace, Kollam City of Biodiversity, Kochi City of Design, Thrissur City of Learning, Kannur City of Craft and Folk Arts. These are creative cities, and Kozhikode proposed as the Kerala, that is to declare as City of Literature. The branding would help Kozhikode to get a global reach. Innovative literacy events could be organized here, showcasing their writers from the foreign countries. The credentials for this are being irradiated now, and so that the proposal can be submitted in 2023. The Kozhikode Corporation has already started preliminary steps for the purpose. The civic body is preparing the proposal with the help of University of Prague in the Czech Republic. University of Prague got the tag in 2014, right? University of Prague got the tag in 2014 as the City of Literature. So, that is how Kozhikode is, it has aimed to be declared as City of Literature by the UNESCO. That is why it was planning, and there are 5 creative cities. One is City of Peace, that is Thiruvananthapuram, Kollam City of Biodiversity, Kochi City of Design, Thrissur City of Learning, Kannur City of Craft and Folk Arts. So, they are trying to get it by 2023. They are already started for it, right, to increase their global reach. About the City of Literature. City designated as a City of Literature must have sufficient number of institutions taking care of the high level of its literary life and promoting literature. There should be sufficient number of institutions taking care of high level literary life. Literature is supposed to play an essential part in the city's life, given significant support, and be given a significant support. The city should have the ability and experience to organize different kinds of literary events, and an appropriate level of literary education should be provided along with quality, quantity and diversity of literacy. Different kinds of literary events and an appropriate level of literary education should be provided along with quality, quantity and diversity of literacy activities that will declare it as a City of Literature, that is Kozhikode in the Kerala state. The National Telemental Health Program is a welcome step in mainstreaming mental health. telemental health program, right? Telemental health program of the government. But success depends on the ability to reach masses and destigmatize mental disorders in the society. Discuss. So here it is based on mental health. Why mental health is important? We both have physical health and mental health. Both are two different components, but we are investing huge amount of money, food, medicines, supplements, all these things in developing our physical health. But so far as mental health is concerned, we are not investing that much. Or also we recognize various disorders so far as physical health is concerned, but so far as mental health is concerned, we do not recognize as well. If a person is suffering from any type of mental disorder like anxiety, that may happen to anybody, like schizophrenia, if you are getting angry at little things, if you are getting irritated with little things, right. So, you need counseling, you need treatment, right. It is a very small, these are very small from mental disorders. Mental disorder does not mean that you are either mad or you are a good person. It is just like you can also, like we have in physical disorder, we have fever, temporary illness. Similarly also, so far as mental is concerned, that person may suffer from temporary illness, or somebody is too much emotional, somebody is too much unhappy, somebody is facing the issues of anxieties, they need to be treated. But people do not know what anxiety actually is, right? What depression actually is. They do not know there is treatment for the depression, or if anybody is going for mental treatment, he is seen as a person who is not well of a mental condition. That is one type of social stigma is there, that they are not in good mental health and they are one type of mad. We consider we are only two persons, either who are mad, that means completely out of their mental capacity, or we have normal persons. There is no in between. So, there is, although there are various diseases exist, there are various mental disorders, still nobody want go to a psychiatrist for the treatments. Introduction. According to World Health Organization, over 90 million Indians or 7.5% of the population suffer from mental health. Right, 7.5% of the population or 90 million Indians suffer from mental health issues. A study published in the Lancet December 2019, the burden of mental disorders across the states of India, the global burden of disease studied disease also highlights the scale of the challenges. So, around 7.5% are suffering from mental health. The COVID-19 pandemic has led to increase the mental health related problems among the people of all ages. Global research has highlighted the increased rates of depression, anxiety, sleep disturbances. Depression, anxiety and sleep disturbances in individuals affected by the virus, right. Various disorders are witnessed in the mental health of the citizens. Around 7.5% of people are suffering from mental health. So, it is a severe issue, and that need to be, we should have a plan, that is telemental health program. State of mental health care in India. WHO has labeled India as the world's most depressing country. India is world's most depressing country. The National Mental Health Survey NFHS 2015 conducted by the NIMHNS revealed that 1 in 5 individuals suffer from some sort of mental health disorder, and only 15% of these affected receive treatment required, right. So, only 15% of the people who are suffering from various mental disorders are getting treatment. That is a big problem. That means around 85% people who are suffering from mental disorders are not getting treatment. That is the issue. The amounts of massive untreated mental health burden in our country, burden of mental health treatment. There is just one qualified psychiatrist for 10 lakh people in India. The number of psychologists and psychiatric social workers is being even fewer. Why? Because there is no demand, right. If 85% people who are suffering from various mental disorders are not getting treated, then why a person will pursue a career of psychiatrist, right. Demand is less. That is why we have one psychiatrist in 10 lakh people. Importance of National Developmental Health Program. National Developmental Health Program is there. What is the importance? During her budget 2020 to 2023 speech, the Parliament Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman announced National Developmental Health Program. National Developmental Health Program. Right, the program which has been held by all sectors of people for having potential of changing mental health care in the country is possessed to consist of 23 telemental health centers with NIMHANS, that is National Institute of Mental Health and Neuroscience, Bangalore. NIMHANS, National Institute of Mental Health and Neuroscience, Bangalore, acting as a nodal center. So it is NIMHANS will act as a nodal center for developing the mental health care in the country. Meanwhile, for this International Institute of Information Technology, Bangalore, IIT Bangalore would be providing the technological expertise. IIT Bangalore will also cooperate in the program, and that will provide the technological expertise. Lack of awareness and sensitivity about mental health is one of the biggest issue. There is a big stigma around people suffering from any kind of mental health issues. There is a big stigma, right? Stigma means false belief, but rigid belief, right? Just because you are going to a psychiatrist, that doesn't mean that you are mad, right? It's just a simple disorder, small disorder, but you need treatment for that, because we see some diseases like schizophrenia, that the behavior becomes highly, you will get highly irritated, you will get, in small things you will get angry, all these things develop 20 to 30 years before it actually shows its symptoms. So that treatment is very essential for that. So right, you cannot untreat a mental health and you can continue, because that will create a lot of problem, right? In some small issues you will get angry, and various diseases like cardiac arrest or your cardiac diseases, mental tension, anxiety, all will develop with you, and that will hamper the work culture, that will hamper the peace in your family. So it is important to remove those stigma around the people so far as mental health is concerned. Nobody want to get treated for mental health. They are often tagged as lunatics by the society. This leads to vicious cycle of shame, suffering, isolation of the patients. Shame, suffering and isolation of the patients. They are called as lunatics. Telemental health care can bridge the gap between connecting people from remote areas to health professionals in the times of need, but also help train general physicians and community health workers in the mental health care. Community health workers can also join as mental health care, and they can become psychiatrists just without qualification of mental health, getting into profession of a doctor. They can also work as a mental communicator. They form backbone of our mental health infrastructure. They form the backbone of mental health infrastructure, and the ability to provide mental health services at a primary level under the tele-guidance of a psychiatrist is fruitful and cost-effective exercise. Cost-effective, right? You do not have to pay high amount of money to get treated for mental health. A national telemental health program is expected to help people get easier access to quality counseling and care services related to mental health. Quality counseling, you can get quality counseling and care services that is cost-effective, that will help so far as mental health is concerned. Right, what are the challenges? Biggest challenges is social stigma, right? Society consider those people in a different way. That's the biggest problem. Mental health issues in India are hugely complex. Data on mental illness is remarkably patchy. There is no such data. Most data is based on self-reporting of conditions and extrapolation. Self-reporting of conditions and extrapolation. Like any other legal document, implementation is the key, and challenges are at the same time. The Mental Health Act 2017 came into a lot of provisions revamping the old Act of 2087. So we have brought a Mental Health Care Act 2017 against the 1987 old Act related to mental health. Digital literacy, limited data connectivity, technological glitches, ethical legal lacuna related to telepsychiatric guidelines. Digital literacy, right? A person should have digital literate. Limited data connectivity. We have only 48% of area are connected to quality data, right? Network glitches are also there, so that will create hurdle so far as telepsychiatric guidelines is concerned. As the COVID threat reduces the time, the inherent tendency of masses to prefer in-person consultation will be the rise. Tendering the virtual consultation are redundant. So, this virtual consultation that will reduce and in-person consultation will increase. Affordability issues related to telemedicine should also be borne in the mind to prevent health inequalities. Affordability issues related to telemedicine should also be borne in mind to prevent health inequalities. Way forward. Human wellness is about body and mind. Lasting change is possible only through collaborative effort of policymakers. So, they all must collaborate with each other to make it successful. Investment in institutional support mechanisms like hospitals, treatment centers, qualified healthcare support, community support, all these things are essential. Invested in infrastructure support, institutional support. Implementation of telemental healthcare cannot be decoupled from efforts to improve digital literacy, data security, enhance accessibility to services. That means you also have to work in data literacy, digital literacy and data security, providing data and also safeguarding your information. That is also most important so far as telehealthcare is concerned. Advocacy by mental health professionals, media, policymakers, right. We need large scale social security support or insurance to cover cost. Mental illness should be covered as in health insurance policies. Government must ensure that treatment is widely available and cost be regulated. India must draw lessons from other countries, always a draw of one own ancient wisdom holistically to treat mental health. For the conclusion, it is rare but up mentioned that mental health in the national budget holds promise of delivering telemental health services. So, budget mentions telemental health services in post-COVID future. The proposed telemental health program is a timely and much needed move, but whether it delivers the long term depends on its implementation. So, all is about implementation. There are various challenges like social stigma. So, it will be very difficult to implement, but still it is a challenge, right. Next objective questions we will discuss. Which of the following is true regarding Kuki tribes of Tripura? They are very much experts in hunting wild animals. Obviously, tribes in Tripura, they are obviously they will be expert. It is common thing you can say. They have their own customary laws and village council. Obviously, it is a northeastern states, 62 state. Obviously, they have village council. They were Christian traditionally. See the word traditionally. They are tribes. Tribes do not have any religion. So, traditionally they cannot be Christian. Now they have converted. That is a different issue. But traditionally, so this statement is wrong. Next, they arrange marriage alliances outside their community. Outside their community, no. Inside their community. So, 1 and 2 options are right. And only see this question on one second I would like to show you. Here it is said that yes, it's marriage alliances outside their community, no, basically inside their community. Next question is, Bamiyan Buddha is recently seen in news. They are related to which of the countries? Afghanistan. Taliban has destroyed it earlier in 2001, but now they want to restore it again by support of UNESCO and other powers. Whatever the remains are available there, they want to restructure the Bamiyan Buddha. It is one of the longest standing statue of Buddha, right? It is created in 5th AD, right? 5th century AD. Next, Afghanistan. Next question is, with reference to voting rights, consider the following statement. The conduct of election rules 1961 was amended to allow service voters and overseas citizens to use the postal ballots. No, it is only now available to service voters, not to the overseas citizens. This was proposed by Election Commission of India to allow this electronic postal ballot to the overseas Indians. Then postal ballots are sent and received electronically. No, this has not always sent and received electronically. They may be sent via postal as well. So, this statement is also wrong. As per Indian Constitution, Indian citizens above the age of 18 years who have registered themselves as voters are eligible to vote. Yes, this is true. Everybody knows it. If you have 18 years and your name is registered in the electoral roll, then you can vote as a citizen of India. What overseas are present after 2010, overseas, those people are NRIs or those who have lived outside India more than 6 months, they can come to directly to their constituency and they can vote. 1961 was amended to allow, it's already we have covered the questions. Next question is, with reference to Pradhan Mantri Urban Awas Urban Yojana, consider the following statements. It's a flagship of the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. No. Ministry of its flagship program under Ministry of Rural Development for Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana in, that is in rural areas, and also urban areas, that is urban affairs, not in social justice and empowerment. The mission 6 to address housing requirement of urban poor, including slum dwellers, right? Slum dwellers, yes. The ownership house is provided to female member only. See, whenever there is only, this statement is wrong. Both female and male jointly they are giving the property rights or only to the female. So here only 2 option is the right answer. The next question is question number 5. Which of the following is correct regarding Saudi Arabia Yemen conflict? The Iranian backed Houthis have held Yemen's capital since 2014. Yes, they have attacked 2014 and they have held. Houthis is ruling in the since 2014 in Yemen and also in the northern areas of Yemen. Though intervention in the Saudi-led coalition halted their march to south 2015, the war has slogged for years and created world's worst humanitarian crisis. Both these options are right. They have captured the north and the capital, but they couldn't come to the south because the Saudi Arabia-led coalition opposed it. So today the lecture end here, right? Like this video, share this video, and subscribe to Vanik-Ias. Encourage us to continue this program. Thank you.